I get to do one of my favorite things ever, which is being absolutely right. Okay, I saw a lot of doom about this. I was like, oh no, Bird Wizard, oh my god, Bird Wizard, Galeshot, Gale Slop, more like. Well, everyone who said that was a complete imbecile. This spec is looking absolutely juiced up. Elite specialization for range of the Galeshot, it's here. You've got birds, you've got arrows, you've got feathers. Loads of new skills, loads of really exciting abilities that pop off. My voice is imploding after screaming about this for 7 hours. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look what's going on with this one. I think this specialization was one of the ones that immediately stuck out to me as having a really fundamentally fun playstyle. The way they described it, the resource building, the ammunition style, it's bird sworn with this extra weapon that you always have access to, a 1200 range cyclone bow with its own abilities and a special finishing move. If you use enough of the skills in there, you navigate your way through. You're not just going to go in there for one skill. You navigate your way through, use the abilities that you need, chain them together, combo them with your weapon skills, and unleash a devastating final blow. That is the Galeshot. There's, of course, plenty to talk about with the nitty-gritty that we're going to do now, but that is what's going on. And plenty of leaping around all over the place as well. I actually want, look, we're going to do a spoiler. We got to go check this out, because this skill is cool. Hold on. Wait, no, yeah, we got to go back a little bit. Check this out. Look at this ability, guys. How can you not want to play this when you can do this? Okay, here we go. Boom! Look at that. Okay, look at that sizzling 720p whirlwind leap. To be honest, maybe they should just set the cooldown to 0. I do love this, by the way. This is one of my favorite memes. Slight segue here, actually. But obviously, ArenaNet tests stuff with God mode, right? It's actually this little icon here, this little foot icon. It gives them, like, no cooldowns, basically. Some people got baited, and I saw some people saying, no, it's impossible. It's got 0 cooldown. That's so OP. You can't do that. But yeah, look at that. Maybe it should have no cooldown. Maybe they should replace your dodge. Whenever you dodge, you just use this whirlwind ability instead and leap all over the place. Very, very cool. But anyway, let's actually kind of get down to business. So what's going on here? So key mechanics. And to be honest, this is kind of cool. You have access to an F5. We have this button here. Again, with UI support, you can see how many arrows you have here. This is your ammo, basically. And you spend these arrows to utilize certain abilities within the Cyclone Bow. So good to have some UI support for that. And when you spend these, so in other words, when you use abilities within the bow we're about to see here, notice this little icon. This is Wind Force. And that also has UI for it, by the way. Again, big improvements here from ArenaNet, actually adding proper UI support. Another massive advantage of Elite specs, by the way. One thing that the Soto weapons in particular struggled with was no UI support, right? So they had these gimmicks attached to them, but no proper UI support. Elite specs do. And you can see that this, CMC is building up this Wind Force. And if you get 5 stacks of Wind Force built up over time, then that is going to give you access to the final ability, right? Like the final ability is being used there. The Hawkeye, right, is what's going on there. And you can unleash a devastating final blow. So you get 6 new skills accessible to you at any time. Actually, hold on. Look, it's getting late. I better correct myself. That bar there isn't your Wind Force bar. You only have that counter there. This is actually your ammo recharge bar. So you don't have to kind of guess when you're going to get another arrow. You can see it very visually, in addition to like how many you've got. And you can see you do need the ammo to use it, right? You can see that the spells basically get grayed out when you don't have enough arrows to use them. Like that. So you can see there, like number 3 is grayed out and it lights up when you can use it. But yeah, you can see exactly when you're going to be getting another arrow looking at that little bar. If only we could move stuff around the screen, then this would be really good. But listen, okay, it's better than nothing, that's for sure. But yeah, that is the core of this. And just, I want to comment on how unbelievably flexible this is. Like this Spec is a huge game changer. To be honest, this is exactly what Rangers want. I think Ranger players are going to be so happy with this. And honestly, anyone who kind of enjoys this type of hyper-mobile range playstyle, because this just gives you a third weapon, basically. It's got no cooldown. You can dip into it whenever you want. You can use the charges, right? You can, like, rotate with your other weapon skills. Loads of cool skills. Very focused around, like, ranged, speed, mobility, right? And just, like, sniping people down. That's what this is all about. And you see that in the utility skills and the traits later on, too. But I think it's really important. Again, let's just underline that. You have always got a 1200 range weapon, right? Always. And that means you can combine this with all of the really cool Ranger builds. You could double down and you could have longbow with this. But I think what's actually going to go down is you're going to lean into the mobility of Ranger. So you're going to end up utilizing spear, heavy evasion, heavy mobility. You know, you can combo that with greatsword, insane mobility, defensives, like lunging around, smashing people, blasting people at range, leaping in to finish off and chase down foes. Proper skirmishing build. This to me is mega Ranger, kind of, you know, that Hunter Ranger roleplay. You know, I thought it was going to be going that Beast Mastery direction, but I got baited by the Bird Sworn, okay? But honestly, it was worth it. It was fun to get baited by that. But no, we're going full skirmisher mode. With this weapon, with this elite specialization. The traits are honestly exciting too, and the spells, the utility spells, they're actually fun. So let's go ahead and get into that. So our core toolkit here is going to be this Cyclone Bow. So let's go through these abilities. First up is going to be Bluster. This is just your bread and butter damage ability, right? It costs 1 arrow, and you can store up to 8 of them, and there you go. You just fire off 3 attacks, again at 1200 range. The auto attack is just a basic auto attack, right? You just auto attack and you shoot a wind arrow at your target. And of course, you don't need any ammo to use that one. You can just, you know, auto attack. You can auto attack to your heart's content, and of course it does flip over into that Hawkeye when you've got your wind force build up there as well. So let's go over to the next ability, just using that. Look, I mean, look, they just love that bluster ability. Look at that. Look, you do have these bird themed effects there, so you are a little bit of a bird monster, right? You are bird sworn, so you summon birds there. And the third skill is going to be kind of like a short bow, you know, like a short bow 3 ability. It's a little leap back. So you get a little evade on a relatively short cooldown, cost you 1 arrow again, do a bit of damage, a blast of wind, and it also destroys projectiles, right? So you can see that the devs have this rather entertaining ability to make the golem fire arrows at you, and we're going to see that demonstrated here, how you can use this to potentially, like, defend against projectiles, right? So the golem targets you, it fires out a rapid fire from its little hand, and you can see that those projectiles were countered. So if you see a really important projectile coming in, or you just want to mitigate some damage or get some evasion, you can use this ability to destroy those projectiles, and even, you know, of course, shield your allies, right? Because it will just be able to block projectiles for everyone. So again, just a really solid, good ability to have in your kit on any build. And now we kind of have another more aggressive option, and this is again going to be a really good skill. Long range, well telegraphed, which is nice, okay? Because trust me, this would be scary if it wasn't. And it just immobilizes, does damage, and also you have that immobilize with Coral's Pelly. Now, of course, immobilize is a strong effect, so that does have AoE immobilize in particular, right? It's going to have a stronger arrow cost of 2 as opposed to 1. And then the final one is the Super Sonic Arrow, is what that is going to be. So you supercharge an arrow with wind magic and then launch it at incredible speed. And this one grants additional wind force, right? So I think this one gives 2 wind force, I believe, instead of just the 1, because again, it is obviously a really powerful ability. You have to invest a lot of arrows into it. It's going to cost you 3 arrows as opposed to just 2 or even 1. So this is a very powerful ability. Has a long wind up, but if you've got to see this one coming, right? Like this is you know, your opponents are going to have to understand this. You do have a big telegraph. You can see kind of like the bird magic swirling around the player there, ready to unleash, ready to charge in. But look at all that's got to the table. 3-second days, big damage numbers. It's a cleave, it pierces, 1200 range, and it's unblockable. So this is a really key and incredibly potent ability that your opponents are going to have to be watching out for. Okay, I'm kind of talking about PvP context here because I do think this is going to be a menace in PvP. Okay, Boyce is going to go 1v9 with us, let me tell you that. It's going to take a whole new meaning to no Boyce, no win in PvP. If it's even remotely playable, it's going to be, I think, very strong. Looking at how it works mechanically anyway. But yeah, devastating damage there. Lots of stuff packaged into that, so your opponents are going to have to be looking for that, because it is well telegraphed. It's just that it's going to be hard to handle the projectile once it's in the air because of how fast it really is. And of course, there's that grand finale. Like, you have a, look, you channel your bird powers. It's kind of funny. You like, let me see, like, there you go. Look at the icon there. Look at that. The bird is like staring right at you, and that is the hawk eye, the kind of finisher move, the payoff. Right? Because they spoke about this a little bit. They want you to not just go into it to use one ability. They want to make it really rewarding to go in there and chain abilities together to access that big payoff with the Hawkeye. And of course, using the Supersonic is going to really help you along that pathway, because you're going to get a whole bunch of wind force coming out from that. And then you can, go ahead and like chain a couple of spells together and then very easily get to that Hawkeye for a devastating finishing move. And it's exactly that. It just does a huge amount of DPS, right? It just does mega damage. You can see it being used here in just a moment. There you go, boom. And it does do priority damage, so your initial target gets nuked, and then players around, or targets around that player, will take even more damage. You can see kind of like some of these visual effects being showed off there. Very wind-themed, very bird-themed, very, very cool there as well. Because that's the roleplay here, guys. That's the lore of the Galeshot, is that you've been taught by the Tengu to channel the power of pigeons, of seagulls maybe even, to devastate your opponent. So that is basically how the Cyclone Bow is going to be working. And then we're going to go over to the utility skills. Now, these aren't super crazy, to be honest. We can go through these pretty quickly. They're not super wild. It's a new ability type called Squall. And what would I compare these to? I mean, I'm not going to lie. They're just abilities, right? Like, they're not anything really specific. They're just things that you use, and they're using wind magic, basically. That's the general gist of what's going on there. So, like, the first one here is you call upon a gentle wind to heal and grant super speed to you and your pet. Again, powerful mobility tool. It's got, it's got Condi removal packaged in. It's kind of important these days to have a little bit of Condi removal. You really love to see that on your heal skill. Decent heal, short cooldown, and super speed. And, well, as you'll see later on, this is a fast spec. You are not going to be in any shortage of super speed. Let me tell you that. Okay, you really, really are not. Let's go ahead and continue. Continue onwards into the mix. So the next one here is the Piercing Gales, and this is just kind of like a damage one. Right, like a damage ability, you just send in little arrows. This one's really fun too. I actually love this. It has a cool interaction with super speed. When you have super speed, or it makes the projectiles go really, really fast. Right, like that's the way it works. So if you have omega speed, we can see that being showed off here. Yeah, if you have swiftness or super speed, sorry, the projectiles go really, really fast. Which obviously on this build you're going to be able to combo that, and it goes twice as fast if you have any of those effects. So there you go. You can combo that with the heal skill, and then bam! Incredibly fast projectiles, applying a whole bunch of vulnerability and a bunch of damage. Basic damage skill. Weirdly enough, I want to say this one will probably be more of like a PvE thing, because ranger utility skills, you quite often package in a lot of defensive utility. Right, like Ranger is really well known for having incredibly potent stun breaks and defensive tools in its utility slots. So you might not end up using that one. That might be like a PvE thing, because again, obviously this is going to have options in that PvE context to do damage. So that's where I think that one's going to go. So next up is going to be this wall. This is another really cool thing. This kind of reminds me of, again, like really, this reminds me of like Guild Wars 2's original design philosophy, right? This is a combo, but not a combo. So you put down this wall, and whenever you fire through the wall, it kind of freezes your arrows. You can see they get that little frozen effect on them, dealing extra damage and chilling foes that you strike. Just a really fun, really cool roleplay effect. It's going to reward you for carefully positioning it, so you can nuke down your targets by firing through this field. I actually love that. I think that's just such a cool design. You know, it's very combo pilled because it's also just recognizing the fact that it's hard to kind of do this with combos in the roleplay sense as like ArenaNet intended in a way, because there's so many fields being spammed over all the place at this point. So this is trying to get around that by giving you a very specific thing. I believe this is only affecting your own arrows, I think. That will be kind of... Wait, actually, what does it say? It says projectiles that pass through the current become frozen, chilling and dealing additional damage to enemies. Oh, maybe that does work on your allies too. That's kind of cool, actually. So if you have loads of projectiles, maybe you get even more damage there. You get like a massive burst of damage from all of your allies. That sounds actually a little bit crazy, to be honest. I'm not sure if that's exactly how it works, but it would be pretty cool if it was, actually. That's really fun that you could potentially play around that, and you know, you have special extra value if other members of your team are also using projectiles to attack your opponents. Wind shear, it's very basic skill here. Very basic skill. You basically have a little knockback. It's your stun break as well. Relatively short cooldown, does a bit of damage. Yep, pretty basic stuff. It very much in theme with Galeshot. You're making room, you know, you're pushing your opponent away, right? You're making space, you're pumping, and again, you have that projectile block again. In fact, reflect even, by the looks of that. To be honest, looks like it's actually being reflected back. Yeah, reflecting incoming projectiles for a couple of seconds there, as you can see, with that ability that gets popped up there. So the golem shoots itself, feels bad. And here we are, back to the whirlwind, I believe, is what this next ability is called. Really exciting. So this one's cool. So you launch and then get super speed. Now this is one that I can definitely see kind of popping up a little bit. It's a 600 range leap with 2 ammo on it with super speed, and it's also an evade. So a really powerful defensive tool, but also an offensive tool. You can chase down enemies, you can kite away from opponents, you can leap onto terrain potentially in PvP, for example, and then you've got that super speed that's going to enhance some of your other abilities potentially. It's going to give you that mobility to disengage, to kite, to chase down and hunt down enemies. Very versatile and powerful ability. And this is a cool elite as well. Look at this one, the whirlwind. So you send out this whirlwind and it grows and hits, you know, as it hits more targets, it, you know, it kind of like feasts on everyone. You send it out and then boom, it grows up when you send it out there. And they coded it, it's like a launch effect. Like when you hit people with it, it launches them, but they coded it in a cool way. So it pulls people with them. It's a launch, but it like pulls people along, right? You can see the way the golems are, right? They all get kind of pulled in the direction of where the tornado is going, right? So you put it all the way at the you can see how it got kind of pulled into the tornado there. Of course, it looks a bit weird because they're clipping back into their original position with the golems, but you get the idea, right? Like all of them kind of get sucked into this raging tempest over there. Now, Elite, this one seeing play is interesting, you know, to be a little bit boring because Ranger has some pretty good elite skill potential. Like Rampage is one, for example. It's kind of like the obvious pick for a lot of Ranger builds in PvP because it gives you that stability. It gives you that offensive and defensive potential that is really good to have in an elite. Whereas this one is more of like a aggressive offensive tool. But you should never say never, right? Stranger things have definitely happened. But yeah, Ranger loves to have that kind of very heavy utility and defensive loaded bar in terms of the slot skills that you end up picking, right? Like the Untamed Elite, for example, is fantastically powerful. You know, Rampage is one is also an excellent skill. You know, the res stuff that you play on, say, a support druid, right? Like those are the skills that do really well on a lot of Ranger builds. Because you usually have a lot of damage packaged in, and trust me, with the Galeshot, you're certainly going to have plenty of that. You absolutely are. And yeah, that's all of those utility skills gone through. I guess a quick note as well is that this doesn't affect your pet in any way. This is Ranger Plus in the same way that Untamed is, right? You'll notice that the pet is kind of doing its own thing. There is a special interaction with birds. In fact, if you want to give quickness, you are going to need a bird pet, which is fun. You know, it's birds of a feather give quickness together, apparently. Is how that one's going. But yeah, bonus meme as well, guys. This is cool. They also, on stream, flexed a little bit about how, guess what, guys? That's right. They fixed pet AI. So pets are going to be a lot more responsive. They've done some kind of changes to how pets work, and you should basically get an instant response from your pet when you use your pet abilities. And that would obviously apply to all Ranger, but certainly a very welcome change, I would say, in general So yeah, your pet is going to actually start casting its ability when you want to, theoretically, when the expansion, I presume the expansion, is going to release with some of these changes kind of baked in. But anyway, let's leap into traits. And I think, you know, we don't need to be mousing over those icons. They are some really cool icons. Once again, the artwork is fantastic. You know, the way I described this, was, it looks like modern Guild Wars 2. You know what I mean? Because Guild Wars 2 has evolved as a game over time. And, it's gone a certain direction with the art. The art style has changed a little bit over time, right? And these elite specs really feel like they represent that to me, right? It's almost like, how do I say it? Like, it's got a bit more cartoon to it, right? It's very vibrant, very colorful. You know, you walk into a raid group in Guild Wars 2, you're either going to be, your eyes are going to get blown off, or it's a bunch of people walking around in bikinis, right? Like, but you know what I mean, right? Like, it really represents, I think, the evolution of the Guild Wars 2 aesthetic, 100%. I really like it quite a lot, actually. Like, the art style of these elite specs is, I really enjoy it, and it's always fun to see the little, it's always fun to see all the little icons they do. There's some good memes there. For example, this one here is called Fetch, right? You can see this, like, pet kind of grabbing this ball over there. That's very, very cool in my opinion. But anyway, let's go ahead and leap into our traits. Let's do it. Of course, big shout out to all the people tirelessly screenshotting everything. Okay, should I flame the screenshotters for, like, leaving in? Like, look at this. Look at this. We've got random slop at the edge of this. Although, listen, guys, I'm the architect of slop. I don't think I can critique people for that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get down to business. Of course, the first one is just going to be the basic, right? It's, congratulations, you're a Galeshot. The teachings of the Tengu. Okay, mastery of Tengu wind magic allows you to conjure the Cyclone Bow at will. Using arrow-consuming skills grants wind force. After you reach the wind force threshold, able to use Hawkeye, gain access to squalls. And yeah, by the way, just to confirm this, yes, ArenaNet are a massive fan of Hawkeye. They just love that particular superhero. They're super big into that. Actually, they absolutely just love it. Okay, they also like Jeremy Renner's musical career too. It's actually pretty good. But anyway, let's get down to business with some of these traits here. We of course have we got a couple of bangers here actually in the minor traits. Bird of Prey. Strike damage is increased while you have swiftness or super speed, which we've already seen. You're going to have plenty, so you're getting a bit more damage there. And swiftness is more effective. This is a big deal, by the way. Do not underestimate this effect. This buffs up your swiftness to 40%. And you might think, well, why is that good? Well, here's the thing. When you're in combat, your movement speed is slowed down. But you can go faster, right? If you have more movement modifiers, right? For example, if you have super speed, you go faster in combat, right? You go the same speed as you do out of combat. So this actually does make you run faster in combat with swiftness. So this is actually a big deal. It just gives you that slipperiness, allowing you to evade opponents, disengage, move faster, around objectives while you're in combat, for example, or indeed like do mechanics faster in PvE. So this is actually a very powerful effect. Very nice to have that. And next up is going to be Jetstream. Your base movement speed is increased, so you just have a flat 25% move speed as well. And you have super speed baked in when you have that Hawkeye going off here as well. As you can see there, you get 3 seconds of super speed when you utilize that with a massive 1500 range. So again, we're off to a good start here. And here we go. Let's go ahead and leap into it. That's appropriate. First up, we're going to have Joy of Movement. Squalls remove movement impairing conditions. And again, that is really strong. This type of effect is very, very, very good in general, because that says you can get out of you can get a cripple, chill, and even immobilize. And bear in mind, some of these can definitely end up being potent in kind of your PvP environment. Like the heal skill, for example, boom, your heal skill removes 2 condies, and it gets rid of cripple, chill, and immobilize, and gives you super speed, and heals you an amount. Over here with Whirlwind, this is breaking you out of all snares, and giving you super speed, and giving you an evade. That's a really powerful effect. Like Wind Shear as well. This is giving you a knockback. It's giving you a reflect. It's breaking stun, and it's giving you breaking out of every snare as well. So it's like a turbo stun break, right? It's breaking you out of all snares and CCs. Suddenly these abilities start to look pretty damn potent if you're packaging in that ability there. But we've got some competition too, because we've got some damn good traits here that are highly impactful. Movement skills grant you swiftness and endurance, so you're getting a little bit of a dodge back for higher evade uptime. And you're getting like very easy swiftness uptime on any movement skill. And Ranger has a lot of that on sword, on greatsword, right? On the spear, right? There's loads of movement skills, like hammer, right? Like there's loads of movement skills. So that's any kind of like leap or dash or anything like that is going to be giving you swiftness and giving you some of your dodges back, so you can be more slippery, more elusive. Really powerful effect. To have that there as well. And, you know, again, I almost feel like this one could end up being really good, because you do actually have ways to get out of snares already as a ranger, right? So, like, maybe the joy of movement is overkill. Maybe you go with this one, so you just have that baseline permanent swiftness up a lot of the time. So you're moving around fast. You're getting those dodges back, right? Again, just incredibly powerful traits that have different approaches to kind of solving the same problem in a way. But yeah, very, very interesting. And of course, right, you know, you do have a bit of movement here as well with like Fleeting Zephyr. I imagine that probably counts as a movement spell, because it does do like a little evade, little leap at the same time though. Okay, Wuthering Wind, which is actually a reference. This is confirmed a reference for real, not a joke reference like Hawkeye. I don't think that's a reference to Hawkeye, but this one actually is a reference, okay? Well, actually, to be honest, this probably is a reference. But, you know, the Wuthering Wind is, of course, a reference to Wuthering Heights, specifically the Kate Bush song, actually. Trig, big fan. You know, he's big into that stuff. Okay, honestly, me too. I actually do like Kate Bush as well. But anyway, Wuthering Wind. After using Bluster, which is, again, if we scroll up, it's that kind of bread and butter damage ability. And this is basically probably going to be like the damage-oriented trait here. Like your pet damages at nearby enemies with a gust of wind. That's giving you a bit of cleave. Bear that in mind too, by the way. That's a bit of cleave. Not just more damage, it's AoE damage too, more specifically. So this is your damage option, and obviously we are going to have a DPS approach here as well for this build, in, you know, kind of for PvE specifically, but also potentially maybe you're going like all in, you're going like deep glass cannon as well. And again, 3 different traits that all do different things, but also do give you something to think about, right? You've got to think about Wuthering Wind, how you're going to connect that, you know, send in your pet, right, to make sure you get that extra attack off, to combine that with your burst. Like, this is going to really make you think about using your movement skills to restore your dodges, and you chain them together to get that evasion, that defensive potential. And then squalls, right? This is going to, you know, really motivate you to use certain abilities and to, you know, allow them and allow you to like be incredibly slippery if you're dealing with a bunch of snares. Very cool. Next, we have, I mean, we've got more traits to talk about. So here's the quickness one. Flock Together. Avian pets have increased strike damage and health. Beast skills grant quickness around the ranger. So basically, whenever your pet does its thing, you give quickness, right, around the ranger. And bear in mind, this is actually giga uptime, because pet beast skills have, bird beast skills have a very short cooldown, right? A very short cooldown. And I'm not sure, yeah, is that internal cooldown for the quickness? I think it might be. In fact, it definitely is. Because otherwise, this trait alone would be perma-quickness, because birds can spam like crazy. So I guess they've normalized it with the 20-second CD to kind of prevent that exact situation. But it will make your pet absolutely crank, so that's kind of cool. A little bit of a fun role play there with that. I'll talk about the other quickness trait here as well. It's Cloudburst. Like, you're kind of intended to run these two together. Quarrel's Peril and Supersonic Arrow reset the cooldown of Bluster. So in other words, this really adds some fun combo stuff, in my opinion. I love this type of design. We kind of saw this on the weapons, particularly the spears. They have these kind of built-in combos. I think that's really fun and really exciting. When you use Bluster or Hawkeye, grant boons to nearby allies. And that is what I'm talking about with quickness uptime, right? So every single time you're using some of your basic rotational abilities, Bluster, you're giving 6 seconds of AoE quickness. Like, that is some serious uptime there. 360 radius, which is decent, as well, and Hawkeye's given 12 seconds of quickness. Honestly, these numbers might be actually so wacky, they might end up going down. That's crazy. Now, it is worth noting there's no other boon support here. And again, nerd moment. If they want this to kind of be a thing in PvE, which they obviously do, it either needs to do like ridiculously broken DPS, which I'm not sure if they'd want, or it's probably got to have at least Might and Fury attached to it. I don't know where they'd package that in, but it might have to just kind of get in there, because the reality of Guild Wars 2 right now is that if you're a quickness DPS build, you should probably give some Might and Fury. Almost all of them do. Many of them even apply other boons too, like Catalyst and Herald, for example. Very, very good. And very notable for that. But yeah, you like just quickness on its own is, you know, like that's not something that sees a lot of that's kind of a weird thing. I think that would be a relatively niche build to actually see play there. But you know, it's kind of cool to have another option here for DPS. And this is definitely the perfect spec for quickness, right? Like, this is just such a quickness-oriented spec. It's all about moving fast, zooming, blasting, leaping all over the place. So, very thematic. You could argue that maybe it should be alacrity, so there's like a power alacrity option for Ranger, but that's boring. Who cares? Yeah, okay. So, next up is going to be Perilous Skies. Actually, no, I'm talking about the combos here. I'm talking about Cloudburst combos a bit. So whenever you use Quarry's Peril and Supersonic Arrow, so that is the 5th skill in the bow and the 4th skill, right? You get a Bluster. So you can go Bluster, Quarry's Peril, Bluster into Supersonic Arrow, into another Bluster potentially, right? That's a lot of arrows, obviously, right? You need 2 arrows there, 3 arrows, and then you'd basically be casting 3 copies of Bluster. That will be all of your arrows to do that, right? Because you're going to go 1, 3, 4, 7, 8. But that would just generate a massive burst of damage. And of course, also a massive burst of quickness as well. If you are so inclined, to be honest. And in fact, you know, kind of looking at this, there's some potential that maybe there's actually a different approach with how you could go about doing quickness here as well, because like, obviously you might want to go for the beast here, but take a look at this one, Perilous Skies. I love traits like this. So this basically says you don't get immobilized on your Quarry's Peril anymore, but you get Pelt instead, which says fire a volley of arrows into the air, damaging enemies when they land. So it just does the damage part, basically does more damage, but you don't have the immobilize. And you also get 2 charges. You get maximum count 2, so you can spend the same amount of arrows, but twice. You cast the spell twice. And of course, this has a bit of a synergy here with Cloudburst, right? Because this is going to allow you to get more resets on your Bluster, and therefore even more quickness application, because you're going to have 2 charges of Pelt, and both of those charges are going to reset your Bluster, allowing you to send more of those Blasts as a key damaging ability, and then more Pelts to keep resetting, and then of course eventually go into your Hawkeye at the end there as well for like a massive... You're just going to cap quickness doing that, to be honest. That's going to be easy peasy, let me tell you that. It is going to be very, very good. We love to see that. We really, really do. And then, yeah, the final, I love traits that change skills into other skills. Stuff like, you know, Devouring Darkness is the really obvious one. And then Glacial Blow. I think some of that's really cool. Big fan of that type of design. Harbinger Shroud, right? Same thing. And finally, in the Master Tier, we have Fetch. Restore arrows when you swap pets. Yeah, I mean, that's just, you know, that's definitely something that I would expect to have there. So, you know, this is kind of if you want to really get even more value out of your Cyclone Bow, you can swap pets, right? While you're in the bow, get 2 arrows back, maybe squeeze out a couple more abilities there as well. I'm almost surprised that it doesn't have a little bit of... you know, maybe even when you swap weapons too, right? That you could also like kind of like funnel back some arrows there as well. But that might end up being like a little bit too much fuel for the fire. They don't want you to be like super camping within there. They do want you to have this kind of rotational approach to using all the tools in your toolkit. So pretty cool. But you know what, guys? You just got to have a big damaging trait, and that's what we've got in the Grandmaster tier. We absolutely do. It's Gale Force, Wind Force. Grants stacking increased movement speed and damage. When you use Hawkeye, convert these into a stronger bonus for a duration. So basically, you get stacking damage when you have Wind Force, right? You get 3% damage per stack, up to 4 stacks, right? Because up to 5 stacks, right? So you're going to get 15% damage. And then when you use Gale Force, you are going to obviously spend that. And then you're going to get 25% damage. And of course, Ranger is also a class kind of similar to Guardian, right? Where you have these big bursts, right? You're going to activate your, your whirling defense, like a brutal burst on maces or hammer or something like that, right? And you're going to really utilize that after dropping out of your cyclone bow. Again, I like that kind of stuff. I think it kind of promotes combo, kind of intuitive gameplay, and I think that intuitive gameplay is really important, and designing the game in a way that's kind of, you can kind of figure out what you should do. I think the ideal rotations in games should almost like, the game should tell you how to do the rotation in a way through mechanics, right? And it kind of does that, technically speaking, right? Because, like, ultimately rotations are derived from numbers. But I really like stuff like this because I think it can really help players understand, like, how you're supposed to play, and, like, how you might, it kind of gives players an idea of, like, how they might utilize this buff with some of their other skills. I really like that a lot. It's very good. And then the final trait, and indeed, the final thing we need to talk about with the initial elite specializations that we've been revealed here is Shrike. So look, I said they don't want you to camp there, but listen, what if I am a cyclone bow only ranger? I will never go in melee. I will camp at 1200 forever. I will never go in boon range. Well, good news. Shrike is for you. So, after a number of missile hits, release a volley of arrows at your target and gain an arrow. So basically that's projectiles. You can fire at projectiles. That could be anything, by the way. It doesn't have to be bow projectiles. That could be axes. You throw axes. Those are also missiles. So this allows you to basically get value back, right? For example, Bluster hits multiple times. Those are missiles, right? Like a lot of your bow attacks, like longbow is a bunch of missiles. Axe has got a bunch of missiles as well. They're blah, 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 blah. The list goes on, really. Like, you will get a bunch of arrows back when you get those hits, when you get those connections. And yeah, the missiles from the trait don't trigger it because that will be maybe a little bit silly, to be honest. But at the end of the day, this is going to give you that refuel. And again, for what it's worth, I actually like that type of thing. It's, again, very different. All these GM traits are really bringing something new to the table and have a very different take on, how you might do this. Like, this creates, like, a new rotation for you and, like, a completely different, like, scenario for using your abilities within the Cyclone Bow. Gale Force is just giving you that pure brute force with a bit of movement speed tacked on there as well to be truly fast. And look, that's going to be highly formidable. Trust me, guys, it absolutely is. Like, it's going to give you even more speed, even more damage. So you're going to be even harder to catch, and just you're going to be blasting people as well. And then the Shrike, yeah, it has that totally different playstyle. It's all about renewing your resource, right? That arrow resource, so you can continue your assault from a distance. Yeah, really cool. I think the gameplay pattern here, just to kind of zoom out the gameplay pattern here is so exciting. Yeah, I'm not much of a ranger player, but I'll probably end up giving this one a try, to be honest, because this looks like a really exciting pattern. With how all of this kind of links together. Again, it's very much focused on, it's a very aggressive spec. I'm glad to see they didn't try and, like, squeeze too much boon support into it. They'll probably, like, slap a bit on to make it make a bit more sense in PvE. But yeah, it's just super aggressive, super mobile, super skirmishy, very good roleplay. The Ranger mains are eating good tonight. Let me tell you that. Absolutely. We love to see that. Look, if that ain't good enough for you, then I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, I don't know. Like, what more do you want? Like, this is the goddamn Ranger spec, huh? It's pretty big. And it even looks cool. And you've got UI. Can't complain about that, huh? It's pretty good. I think that's all I've got. I've got nothing. I think we talked about all of it, right? Like, we kind of crunched through all of that there. Did it in double quick time as well, because I really don't have a lot of like kind of breakdown or criticism, really. It's looking really good. This one looks very well formed with how it's going to go. Again, a very clear design idea, very clear vision of where this is going, and yeah, very much like the other two. Yeah, like looking at this, I definitely feel very confident. And if I, of course, your elite specialization that you're really hyped up for, the Paragon, the Ritualist, whatever, hasn't been revealed yet. But to me, that was always the really big thing about this initial reveal. It was about design. right? Like, I was very curious about what this design was going to look like and how they were approaching elite specializations. What's their thought process? What are their goals? What's their vision? Like, how far are they going? How extensive is it going to be, right? With what these things are going to do. And yeah, I have to say they've really delivered on this. This is exactly what I was hoping for from elite specializations in Visions of Eternity. And yeah, I'm very happy to see this. You know, obviously there's, you know, it's obviously, you know, it's a big deal. They've got to get this right. A lot of pressure. So there's obviously a little bit of worry on our end as the players if they're going to be able to deliver. But I have to say, yeah, it's looking very, very good in general from the elite specialization perspective. I think that ArenaNet has done a very, very good job here. Overall. Oh, I don't know if I call this out. I'm delirious with tiredness at this point. Joy of movement. This is actually a very funny reference to a very old blog post ArenaNet made, kind of talking about mounts in Path of Fire. It instantly became a meme in the community, and it is now being referenced within the game once again. We've truly gone full circle. Yeah. Very, very cool. But anyway, I think that's going to do it. That is concluding my coverage for the elite specializations that have been revealed so far. That is fantastic. Okay, really enjoyed doing this. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Definitely leave your comments down below. Like the video, subscribe on YouTube. Okay, follow me on Twitch. Follow all my social media. Join Discord. Okay, and look, if you're looking to get into Galeshot, look, guys, you know what to do. ArenaNet partner, referral link in the description, probably linked in the comments as well. Get in the mix right now. Okay, buy it. Buy the Ultimate Edition, guys. If you buy the Ultimate Edition, okay, do you know what happens? I'll tell you what. You get like 70% more birds on all of your abilities. That is not true. Disclaimer. But you know what? It would be kind of good if it was. But yeah, that is it. Leave your thoughts down below. Stay tuned for more. We're going to be covering all of the Visions of Eternity news, elite specializations, I don't know, maybe lore, okay? Let's speculate about mecha raptors. Let's bring that content to the table. But we're talking about everything. We're talking about this. We're talking about the other elite specs. You go watch my videos on those. Get ready for the other elite specializations that will be reviewed. News about the open world, the raid stuff, I don't know. It's all going to be coming out soon. And of course, we're going to be playing the beta here on stream on Twitch and YouTube in August as well, so definitely mentally prepare yourself for that. But yeah, that's going to do it for now. I'll see you guys next time, so stay tuned. Get ready for the next announcement, which is going to be on the coming Wednesday, and of course, there will be another stream there as well. It's going to be good. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. That is it for now. Good night to YouTube. And honestly, good night to Twitch as well, okay? I am done. I'm out. That's it. That's your lot. That is all of the slop you're getting for today, okay? You've been gorging yourself on it. No more!